Hey everyone, Ethan here from Extreme RC 4x4, and as you can see, I have the Power Wagon pretty much wrapped up except for paint at this point in time. I am going to be running in the competition tomorrow, it not being painted yet, but I'm definitely going to try my best not to scratch it before I paint it. But here's how it sits for its first real run, since I never really put this truck together. So I'll go ahead and give a rundown of where we're at this point. Basically, this started out as a Traxxas TRX4 kit. This is the original kit that still has the differential locks and the 2-speed transmission in it. And from there, it sat for a little while because I had no real direction for it yet. Then I had a $20 off coupon for J Concepts that was about to expire, so I went ahead, bought these brand new, I forget what they are, landmine tires, and these are a Class 2 tire. I've wanted to run a Class 2 truck for quite some time now, just haven't had the motivation to pull one together, I guess. So from there, I got a 46 Dodge Power Wagon body from my local hobby shop, Crawler Space RC LLC. That's where we do all the competitions and stuff. So picked this up, and as you know, this body is a narrower cab, so I thought it would be good for Class 2, not running a huge body. I could always trim these fenders if I wanted to, but I don't want to at this point, at least. So that's where most of the modifications came in, was just fitting this body on here. And I had these are Traxxas beadlock wheels. However, I made 3D printed these front beadlock rings because I only had 4 of the rings for these wheels. So all the Traxxas rings are on the inside of these wheels, and then my rings are on the outside. I may end up machining these in the future out of aluminum, but I didn't have time for this competition, so that's why they're just gray PLA. But I do think they look really good. They're kind of H1 Hummer inspired, where you have the piece here where the inflation system works, where you can air down the tires from inside the cab, or at least that's what it's intended to look like. It's not actually functional. So modifications made to the exterior of the truck, then I'll take the body off and show you what's going on underneath this. First up, you can tell I have this 3D printed front bumper on here. This is just a stubby bumper because in Class 2 you're not required to have a full width bumper, and this is a hole for a servo winch. I do intend on putting a servo winch on this truck in the future, but as you can see, it just completely bypasses having any bumper mount in there. It's just actually part of the bumper, slides into the frame right there. So a nice little stubby bumper for this, and the grill doesn't rub on it, and it's about the width of the grill, if not very close. Then for some protection of these side steps on here, I didn't want to have some big obnoxious sliders on here, especially since this truck already essentially has running boards. So I 3D printed these running boards, which all you have to do is remove the factory running boards, and there's a bunch of posts on the on these trays that you get with the chassis, and then you just have to drill those all the way through because they're not all the way through yet. And then you can screw these in from the bottom. So that's how they attach there, just with these 2 tabs. And these are designed to be a 1/4 inch thick, so that I can machine this exact same design out of aluminum. There is a small gap, about 1/8 of an inch or less, between this the cab side step and these actual running boards, but I'm not too worried about that. Not much I can really do if I wanted to machine them out of 1/4 inch. But I'm very happy with it. It follows the contour really closely, and it will give me something to rub against when I'm driving it without scraping up the whole side of the body. And then moving our way around, I just got this 3D printer, or this bumper off the 3D printer here. And with this bumper, this is the front bumper mount from the TRX4. I removed the rear bumper mount and then put this one in place because the rear drops down lower. So I put the front bumper mount in there, and we're at about the perfect height for this. So put this bumper on there, and kind of follows a similar design as the one in the front. Just minimalistic, I guess. And continuing on, an additional thing that I did with this body is I put some screws in these back fenders just to help suck everything together, and I think it kind of took a little bit of the flimsiness out of it. I do have the light buckets for the front done. However, I took them off because I didn't want them to get wrecked during the competition if anything does happen tomorrow. I would like to get some functional lights to go in there, but I'll have to look into doing that. I did get the body to sit on there as low as I can, although this front body post is at the highest setting that there is, and it's still tight on the body. You have to push the body down to get some slack in there to pull the pins out so you don't scratch it. But these running boards are sitting on top of the pegs for the original rock sliders that come on these trucks, and I didn't really want to trim past those to get the body to sit any lower. And the front fenders are sitting on the inner fender wells where I have them trimmed down. So that's as low as I want to go at this point in time. I have no tire rub at all at full flex, but it is very close, so I'm happy I settled where I did. So we'll go ahead and pull this body off. In the front, it's just regular pins, but what I've done in the rear is, I believe Proline has done this before with a style of knob. So what these are is just 3D printed knobs that I've made here with a nut that is pressed in them. This is not a lock nut, it's just regular nuts so that it will spin on here easily. But I think it's a better application in the rear for my situation, just because of the fact that in the rear here, I'll go ahead and show you. These are grub screws that are threaded through here. So you can see they have left some marks in that clear plastic that you peel off after you paint it, but I'm not too worried about that. So we can go ahead and look at the rear first here. These are my new shock towers, and the whole reason I designed these new shock towers was so that I could get the body mount inside of this tunnel or box we have in the bed. I think this was intended for an SCX-10, was what that's for, but I had to redesign these shock towers because the Traxxas ones went about this height the whole way down, and I wanted to be able to lower the body to the place where I have it now. So that's where this comes in. I could have 3D printed body posts, but the problem is you worry about the posts cracking between the layers. So this was just simpler for me, and I think it makes the truck a little bit unique at least. And I kind of like the knobs. I wouldn't mind if the front had knobs too, but just kind of a personal preference thing. I guess I'll see as time goes on how I like them or if I don't like them. Here are how the side steps mount. The original ones mounted right here. They just set on top of these. So what you have to do is drill through them, and you'll go the rest of the way through, and then you can screw up from the bottom. But you have to make sure you drill with a 2.5mm drill bit, or I believe mine is 3/32, so that you don't drill the hole too big. Otherwise you won't be able to thread your 3mm hardware into it. And one thing I did have to do is, as you can see, this body mount, you can use the original Traxxas body mount here. The shock hoops are designed for that, and it does fit on here. I tested it, but the problem is you can't get this strap open for the battery since I had to move this body mount forward. So I took this notch out of here in the design software so that you can push this tab down and then get the saddle strap out, because I still do want to run full-size battery packs for when I'm just out driving it, or in the winter when it's cold. So I did want to keep this battery tray in here. I may end up upgrading in the future to a low center of gravity battery tray, but from some of the reviews I was seeing, they don't make a huge difference. If you have one and you really like it, let me know, and maybe I'll end up picking one up. I'm not sure yet. If you haven't seen the last video, I talked about how I moved this ESC over and moved the radio box up here, but everything is still functional in the truck. I'll go ahead and show you. You can turn the remote on and plug everything in. This is just a small 2000 mAh 2S LiPo battery in the front. And if I didn't mention already, I only weighted the front wheels on this truck. Normally I weight all four just for stability, but I'm gonna see how I like just having the two front wheels weighted. This truck is a huge front weight bias right now, and I guess I'll see if I can get used to that or not. So that's our differentials, still work. And then the 2-speed as well. So everything is still completely functional with it. That was my goal. I didn't want to remove any of the servos or anything because I enjoy playing with the lockers and stuff like that. But that's pretty much all I have for now. There's nothing really major going on with this truck. If you really think about it, it's not that far off from a stock TRX4, other than the body modifications and the trimming that was done, and then of course this whole rear shock tower setup going on. But all the electronics are stock. I might end up replacing the steering servo, or I would like to try a 27 turn motor in this, just so you can get a little bit lower crawling speed, but I still do like to have enough wheel speed to get over things when necessary, or just for playing around in the snow. But that's pretty much the whole rundown on the truck. This is how I'm going to run it tomorrow. Hopefully I like these tires. I really like how they look. I like that they're narrow and that they don't rub on anything on the truck. So we'll see. Hopefully it's a top performer. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.